Greetings and welcome to week 3 of Rural Alaska Justice, Justice 131. Welcome to the fairly sterile surroundings of the large classroom at the Alaska Public Safety Training Academy, where I'm finishing up a 2-week recertification class. I've been having some connection problems this morning. I've tried to set this lecture a few times and it keeps dropping, so I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. Hopefully we stay online that long. First of all, my apologies. Geez, I wish all of you were taking Justice 121, Policing in the Community, because things are going really, really well in that class. And you may or may not have noticed, nobody contacted me about it, so you may or may not have. Usually people jump right on me in emails and say, what in the world are you doing? I seem to have gotten week 2 and week 3 a little confused. I blame only jet lag. So what we talked about last week, maybe we should have been talking about this week, and I want to make sure your chapters are all good. So anyway, in your textbook, in your little rural justice textbook, we should be through weeks 1, 2, and 3 this week, of course, chapter a week. I referred to chapter 3 in some of my stuff from last week, so you may or may not have, you may have skipped chapter 2 and went straight to 3, and we were discussing things in 3 that we probably should have been discussing this week. So make sure, what I want you to do this week, read chapters, make sure you're up on and you've read chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go ahead and take all the info from those 3 chapters and kind of catch back up and get everybody on the same plate and make sure where we're supposed to be. We're still going to continue to talk about the differences between rural and urban. As we've been discussing in class, some of you live in very rural places. Some of you live in the Alaska version, at least, of urban places. Some of you, as mentioned, it's not hard to live right now. Today, as I record this, I'm in Sitka, which is supposedly Alaska's 4th largest city. And all we have for fast food here is one McDonald's and a Subway. So, when we were looking at the definition of urban in Alaska, we noticed that the specific Justice Commission that's out there, does not count Anchorage and Fairbanks and Juneau and Sitka and Ketchikan and Kenai and 2 others. Anyway, as urban, and take those out of rural studies. And we've commented, gee whiz, anywhere else in the world, a town of 8,000 or 9,000 would not be urban by any stretch of the imagination. So we've noticed some of those differences. So we're going to continue to discuss those differences. We're going to continue to discuss our crime issues. Look at Anchorage. Horrible gang problem they haven't got under control yet. Look how many deaths we've had in Anchorage last year just from killings and stuff, which we don't have in other places. In the rural areas, what do we have? Way too much per capita alcohol incidents. So look at those differences. Let's talk about those things again. Let's get everybody on board. Welcome again to our new students. We've really got some good mix of students in this class this semester. Thank you all. It's great to see the new officers we have picked up, the new civilians we have picked up, and we're going to get some great discussions. So for those of you that are new the last week or so and wondering, what's going on in here, things are going to get back on track. Like I say, I blame only jet lag for getting things wrong last week. So make sure this week we're up on chapters 1, 2, and 3. Take the information that you want to discuss out of chapters 1, 2, or 3, or elsewhere where it leads you, and let's kind of tie the knot on this bow and make sure that we've discussed all we can on the differences of rural and urban. Let's talk about the crime differences and just the makeup differences. What's different. I kind of miss a little bit. I've always been in little small towns, and I can walk into the post office and I will know every single person in that post office, the other residents getting their mail. And the post office is actually kind of the center of activity in a lot of small areas as you wait for your Christmas packages to show up in February and March. You go to the grocery store, you know every single person in every aisle of that store, and that's where you get your business done and your chatting done and things. You go to a town Sitka-sized or better, and you're not going to know everybody in the grocery store. You're not going to know everybody at the post office. You're going to see people on the streets that you don't know. And it's so different, such a different makeup and such a different style of living. So I've kind of asked in the discussion board, I added another line, if you won the lottery tomorrow, where would you want to live where you live? Now, don't say, gee whiz, I want to move to Bahamas because it's warm down there and it's freezing and I'm tired of slipping on the ice up here. But would you move, let's say if you stay inside Alaska, if you won the lottery, which we don't have up here, so you go to Washington and you buy a lottery ticket and then you come back up to Alaska, would you, if you are living in Kaktovik, or as we have people here, if you're living in Petersburg or Kodiak or Bethel, would you move to Anchorage? Or if you lived in Anchorage or Fairbanks or Juneau, is your dream to move to Petersburg or Dillingham or someplace out in the middle of nowhere? It's funny, I was talking to a guy yesterday here at the Academy who has just fell in love with Sitka, and boy, he can't wait to retire and buy a little house here overlooking the ocean, and he's tired of the urban area he lives in. So tell me, where would you move and why? And what's important to you? You want the culture of these towns. You want the never locking your door aspect of little towns. So let's talk about this, talk about crime. Let's get chapters 1, 2, and 3 totally on board and talked about. So next week we pick up back where we belong. So call if you need anything, send me an email if you need anything, and I'll see you inside.